Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. It's Kevin McCullough. Glad to have you with us. And, you know, you thought you were done when the presidential race was over, but you're not. In the year after a presidential race, there are very important races that are still on the ballot. And while you may not think they really matter, they actually do, because gubernatorial races, races for state Supreme Courts, these types of things have a way of impacting different regions of the country. And it is out of the all politics is local ethos that you get the national politicians. So I'm very pleased to have John Rogers joining us from America First Works. He is the executive director of AFW. As recently, Ashley Hayek has been promoted to president of AFW, and so we're excited to have John with us. She's going to be back with us here in a couple of weeks. John, it's good to meet you. Thank you for being here. I know a lot of people, they got through November and they're like, oh, good. We don't have to worry about anything for a while. If you're in New Jersey or Virginia or even Wisconsin, that's not necessarily the case. What are the most important things for everyone to know about the races that are on the ballot for 25?
I mean, the most important thing is for especially listeners to this show is to get out and vote. You know, what you see is at no point in time in history as one of these local races matched the turnout level of a presidential race. And it's that apathy that, you know, maybe we get burnt out from the presidential race. You know, some folks are just like, yeah, I'm a federal only voter. I don't vote in the rest of the races. The most important thing is to get out and vote whenever the race is. You know, there's some really hot races that are going on right now. I think one of which is flying a little bit under the radar screen. I'll get to that in a second. I think one of the hot races to focus on right now is the New Jersey governor's race. That's coming up this fall in November. We've got a great shot of winning that. It is probably the most overtaxed state in the nation, maybe the most overtaxed state in the history of any nation. You know, and I think that one of the things that goes on our side of the aisle is that we just don't buy it until it's too late. You know, we looked at this 4 years ago, and it wasn't until about 10 days out that anybody started to believe that we could win this race. And to me, you know, outside of voting, it's like belief is the most.
John, here's the thing. And I was at Jack Ciattarelli's campaign event that night, the night that the election was held. It was a diabolically carbon copy of the 2020 presidential election. You had a lead with the Republican going into the late hours. They stopped counting in one big county in the north, Bergen County, and lo and behold, the next morning there was a 30,000 to nothing vote swing from banked vote. You know, somebody knew that they were in their back pocket, and you woke up and he lost by 10,000. That was a shame. And it happened right in front of us, and we just seen it happen the year before. Like, it was like, come on, anyone paying attention here?
Yep. I think we got to take a page out of the 2024 playbook, which is, number one, let's make this thing too big to rig. Number two, we've got to beat them at their own game on getting out there early, getting paper ballots out there. You know, part of the thing that goes there, like, you can still vote these paper ballots in person. So it's not even like you have to trust the Postal Service in order to get your vote counted. You can get there in person and vote and get your vote banked away before the Democrats have a chance of stealing your vote. Yeah. You know, I think is a really important point that we've got to get good at. But I think the biggest thing is, you know, getting out there and voting and making this thing too big to rig just from the get-go.
That's the New Jersey race. What's going on in Virginia?
Virginia governor is still taking shape right now. It looks like Glenn Youngkin, the current governor, is term limited out, so won't be running again. Right now, Winsome Sears, who's the lieutenant governor, seems to be an early driver's seat on that race. To be determined if a real primary wields itself there. I think that's going to be a hot race from start to finish. Again, we can't let the liberals have us believe that this is an unwinnable race and outside of reach. Not at all. It's absolutely a winnable race. It's a seat that, you know, it's a state that we can hold. It doesn't have to be a blue state. You know, not that long ago, it was a red state. And, you know, part of this is getting involved, getting conservative groups up and running and, you know, and involved in these states where we have these races before, you know, the ethos starts to believe that we can't do this.
Yeah. Back to New Jersey just for a second. It does look like there are a lot of candidates in the primary on both sides. What is your sense? What is your handicap about how intense the primary battles are going to be?
So we recently surveyed this, and Ciattarelli has a pretty decent sized lead in the Republican primary. I think money will probably play out there to see if that develops a little bit more. But given how close he came last time around, I feel like the voters are like, okay, he came close last time. Let's give this another go. Democrat side is a food fight. I mean, it's an open. It's open warfare on their side as to who gets there. Right now, early lead is probably Mikey Sherrill, but it's a pretty tenuous lead at this point in time. I think the Dem side of this is a pure toss up on who gets out of there. What brand of crazy they put forth on their side.
Yeah.
And who can run further left is probably what that primary is going to be all about.
Well, and then whoever does win that fight, they have to come back to the center and present. Yep. To the large number of independents that are in New Jersey, a reasonable face. So unlike the, center right side of this debate that don't have to change much by way of philosophy, you have to have some pretty wild public policy swings just within a few months' time if you're a Democrat seeking office in New Jersey.
That's exactly right. And you have to go on the record during the primary in order to, espouse these radical left views to make your way through the primary. It is actually a real problem for them, and it's why tracking footage and these debates are really critical, because they just fight to get further left, and then they fight to get to the center once they make it through the primary. And we can't let them get away with that. Part of this is funds. We need to have these campaigns. It's one of the unfortunate realities of politics today is how expensive these races are. And New Jersey is two media markets that are two of the most expensive media markets in the country.
The fact that you live in New Jersey, but you have to pay for New York and Philadelphia television is just a crime.
It's bonkers. It's so expensive to run a campaign here and to get your message out. So if the other side is the only one that's funded, that's what makes these things difficult, which is why I think for folks, in DC and super PACs and, everybody who's interested in this, believe early. And because early money actually goes a lot farther because the market rates go up as the campaign gets further on. So if you decide 2 weeks before the election that you're going to go buy Philly TV, it's going to cost you twice as much as if you made that decision today.
You're familiar with Scott Presler and his work as former Democrat that flipped a lot of registrations in Pennsylvania in the presidential race. He has made New Jersey a focus of where he wants to be for the next 12 months. Have you seen any of his numbers, and are they holding up to what you expect?
Yeah, the early registration numbers for this year for December, January look great. I think it's the first time that Republicans have out-registered Democrats in as long as I can remember. So there's definitely something going on there, whether it's a combination of Presler and just people starting to believe that what President Trump is doing is working, and they want to be part of that. President Trump barely lost the state. It actually was a lot.
It was way closer than people realized. Hold that thought right there, John Rogers.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next. That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.